Okay, we are back. This is Techmath1. We're looking at chapter 4 in the blue book. So let's flip to page 145 and take a look at number 2. So places. Places. We've got, this is a really large number. Ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, billions, 10 billions, 100 billions. So when they say, well, where is the 9? The 9 is in the thousands place. And now be careful, don't add the THS at the end, thousandths. That's when you're in decimals. We're working whole numbers here, so it's thousands place. All right, how about, oh, that's supposed to be a U, thousands. That's a U. Okay, my U looked like an A. All right, so number 4, what's 4? 4 is in the, let's see, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. That's the millions place. And 7 is in the, let's see, we were on millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. That's in the billions, like Dr. Evil's billions case. All right. Write the word names. So when you're writing word names out, don't use and. A lot of people say and all the time. It isn't. The year we are in is 2020, not 2020. And signifies a decimal point, all right? So don't say the word and unless there's a decimal point. Think about when you pay for something. If the bill comes to $87.43, that's where the and goes, all right? So let's see, we want to write this out. So we would write 15,000, right? 15, it's in the thousands place. So 15,906. So don't say and in there. That's it. So when we're writing out numbers into words, 15,000, comma, 906. All right. Let's look at this one. What would this one be? Well, that would be 144 million. Comma, then 740,000. Comma, and then just 57, not and, no and, just comma, and then I'll write 57. So when I read this out loud, 144,740,057. All right. 15, right? Nope, I added a... T. I threw an E in there. Ugh. All right, then what about this last one? Well, let's see. This is 9,200,623,080. So that's how we would write it. 9 billion 200 million 623 $1 80. All right. So we put commas in the words in the same places we would put commas in the numbers. So that's where you kind of like pause when you're reading out loud. All right. Okay. Then let's look at page 148. And we'll go into decimals now. And so it doesn't mirror whole numbers exactly because the first place on the whole number system is ones and then tens. But in the decimal system, the first place after the decimal is the tenths place. There is no one-ths place. It starts with the tenths place. So when we look at number 11, the problem, 0.12 as a word, 0.1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, geez, how many zeros are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5. Tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millionths. Yep, that's how many. So point and then 5 zeros and then a 9. And then the last one is 0.0403. Okay, so this is how you do this. You go tenths, hundredths place, and you write the number 12, and then you say hundredths. So whatever the place that it ends at, that's what you write after you write the number. So this is just the 9, right? 9. And then we go, look, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. So that's 9 millions. Is that how you should say that out loud? Nobody ever does. Everybody always says 0.000009. You know, they just say the decimal and then all of the places. To read this aloud correctly, that's 403. Oh, I think it's just 403. So I don't think there's any commas in there, just 403. And now tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s. And that gets the little THS on the end of each one of those. Okay. Awesome. Let's look at 4.2. That was 4.1. So if you look at 4.2, we're doing rounding. And so just simple rounding right now. 893 to tens. And 35,601 to thousands. And 98,199,600 to millions. And 2,774,000,000 to billions. All right, so when you're rounding, and I'm sure you've rounded already, but we'll just do a quick refresher here. This is 4.2, and we're on number 15. Sorry, this is number 15. So those 4 problems. So when you're rounding, you identify the place they told you to round to, and then you look to the number directly to the right of that, and then decide whether it gets bumped up or whether it gets left alone. All right, and truncated up. So this is to tens place. So this is ones, tens, hundreds. So that's the tens place. And now we look at this. This number determines what I do. If it is a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you bump it up. If it is a 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, you drop it off and just replace it with a 0. So look, It's not enough to bump it up. If this were a 7 instead, it would become 900, and that would have still been to tens place, because the 9 basically becomes a 10, and then it carries over, all right? But it isn't, so we just leave the 9 alone and replace that with a 0, and that's it, you're done. 890 is rounded to tens place. Round to thousands place. So we're looking at this number, and this is the judge and jury right here. So we got the 6, that if it's 6, 7, 8, or 9, that gets bumped up. So this becomes 36,000. 36,000. All right. Let's take a look at this. To millions place. So we've got, let's see, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions place is right there. I'm looking at this number to take my cues from. Well, 1 is not bigger. And so now, there's different kinds of rounding where you round with significant figures, where you might go and look at numbers before it, like that 9 turns that into a 2, and then that's not how we do it. We're just doing simple rounding, so you identify the place they tell you to round to, and the number directly to the right of it. That's it, all right? And that's not enough to bump it up, so it stays 9, 8, and then we replace everything with zeros. Don't forget to do that. And don't forget to write the rest of the number. You'd be surprised how many people just write 98 for that, not 98 million. There's kind of a big difference, right, between those two. And then this last one to billions. So here we are in billions place. We look at 100 millions to determine what to do. And yeah, we would take that up to the next number, and then all of these are zeros. So instead of, usually when the numbers are that large, you know, like in the news and everything, they won't say 3 billion. They'll say 2.77 billion, and people understand that. Because that's a lot of rounding. You know, we rounded up 300 million there. So, well, 230 million. That's a lot to round up. So, but that's what they told us to do. That's what we did. All right. Again, I'm sure you've seen rounding before. So let's jump to number 17. 5,630.95 to hundreds place. Not hundredths, hundreds place. 88.13 to tens place. 40.375 to whole number, or ones. If they tell you whole number, that's the same as saying round of ones place. And 95.06 to tens. Great. So here we go. Hundreds place is right there. We look at that number. It's not enough to bump it up. So that becomes just 5,600. And you don't do anything, if there's decimals after it, you don't really have to put 0.00. I wouldn't mark it wrong if you did, but you don't need to. All right? Rounding to tens. So this is the tens place. This is enough to bump that up. So that becomes a 9, and I replace that with a 0. So just 90. Whole number, that's really ones place. So we look at the number to the right, we look at the tenths place, not enough to take it up to the next one, so that's a 40. And tens place, ooh, here, finally, something interesting happens. So that's 9. 5 is enough to bump it up, but so that's actually going to make it into 100. So even though I was rounding to tens, it actually bumped into the hundreds place because that was enough to take it up to the next one. All right? Okay. Well, let's look at 4-3. 4-3, we're going to jump to 23. Yeah, we don't really need much in 4-3. That's pretty, I think everybody knows this already, but just to get the rust out, 23. We got 3/4. They want me to convert that to a decimal. We got 97/20 to a decimal, and 39.6 over 2.4 to a decimal. So you just take in your calculator 3 divided by 4 and hit enter, and that's 0.75. And so same thing, 97 divided by 20, and that should be 4.85, and 39.6 divided by 2.4, and that should be 16.5. All right. Okay, well, let's convert each fraction to a decimal. Yeah, no, we're not going to use the reciprocal key. That's silly. All right, and then okay, let's go into 4/4. When they say like reciprocal, if you say, well, what's I don't know if there's a reciprocal key on the graphing calculator. Yeah, we're not going to work. Reciprocal is just when you flip it upside down. So there's a sort of shortcut, but I don't know how much it is, because instead of just hitting divide by, you got to find the reciprocal key. So like if you wanted to do 1/5, you could say 5 and then take the reciprocal of it, and that would do 1 divided by 5 and tell you 0.2. But I see that as longer, not shorter. We want shortcuts to be shorter. All right. So let's look at 4/4, converting percents to fractions and decimals. All right. So again, most of you probably have seen this at some point in the past. We'll take a little trip down memory lane here with you. So we're looking at 35 on page 156. We're converting these percents to fractions, all right? And so when we convert a percent to a fraction, what you're going to do is first you're going to make it a decimal. So it's a two-stage transition. First, remember, 25%, that is per out of 100. Think there's 100 cents in a dollar, right? Per cent just means out of 100. So if I say 25%, it's like saying 25 out of 100. That's what 25% signifies. All right. So when I want to get rid of the percent sign, I just divide by 100, basically. I move the decimal 2 places to the left. So that's 0.25. Now we go back to the section before. How would I read that? Instead of reading it 0.25, like most people read it, I could read it as 25 hundredths. All right. And so 25 hundredths, or if I reduce that, right, 25 goes into both of those. That's the same as 1/4. So that means 25% is exactly the same as 1/4. So if there was a $400 item and it was 25% off, instead of taking 25%, 0.25 times 400 and figuring it out that way, you could just divide by 4. 400 divided by 4 is 100. It's $100 off. And so 25% off of a $400 item would mean they charge you $300 for it. Those are synonyms. We, in our society, usually don't stick with the fractions because we're base 10, so we like percents. Most people can wrap their head around 25%, but if you say 1/4 of the people, got the disease, most people don't get, they understand 1 out of 4 people, but 25% usually resonates better. All right, so let's do this. 0.10, that is 1 over, you could do it 2 ways. You could say 10 over 100 to mirror what we did there, and then reduce that, divide by 10, and that's 1/10. So 10% is 1 out of 10, or 1/10. Those are equal to one another. All right? And so you could have done it this way too, though. Remember, you don't need that 0 after the decimal. So we could have said that's 0.1, and then we could have jumped exactly to the answer, where it takes 1/10. And there is another way of looking at these also. If you don't want to read it out loud, like 25 hundredths or 10 hundredths or 1/10. You could say, how many places did I need to move the decimal to make it a whole number? And that's how many zeros I add after a 1. I put a 1 and then however many zeros it took to make that into a whole number. That's another way to convert from decimal to fraction. All right, 60%, that's 0.60. That's 60 over 100. I can divide top and bottom by 20. And that is 3/5. So 3/5 is the same as 60%. All right. Okay, lovely. Let's convert to decimals, jump to 39. So what if it's a fraction, or what if it's a percent with a fraction on it, like 11 3/4%, or like 5.5%? So first I would say let's convert it to a decimal. 3 divided by 4 is 11.75%. So first make your fraction into a decimal, then convert the percent to a decimal, 0.1175. Same thing here, right? 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, so 5.5%, and then move it 2 places, 0.055. And so that one they didn't want fraction form, they just wanted a decimal. So we went from percent to decimal. It's a little trickier when it's like that. All right. Okay. Lovely, lovely. Let's look at 4.5, converting decimals and fractions into percents. So going the other way. So going from this back to that. That's 4.5. So we're looking at number 42, and we're looking at 43, and we're looking at 44. All right, so we've got 0.83. They want me to convert that to a percent. 0.01 as a percent. 2.96 as a percent. 0.1 as a percent. 0.9 as a percent. And 2.3 as a percent. So look, when we're converting from decimals to percents, we're just going to take it and move the decimal 2 places to the right and then add the percent sign. So this is 83%. Think about that. That's 83 hundredths. If you read that out loud, that would be 83 out of 100. 83%. All right? 2 places, that's 1%. 2 places, that's 296%. This throws people off. Most of us want to make a percent that's between 0 and 100. And so a lot of times people will tell me 29.6% on that, and they'll only move it 1 place because it seems right. Really large and really small percents are kind of hard to work with. So you gotta always count out those 2 places. So that's 10%. That's 90%. Not 9. A lot of people mess that up too because they see 0.9 and they think, oh, 9%. That would be 0.09. Now you got to be careful. Count out 2 places. Count out 2 places. 230%. All right. Convert to a percent. And now, so they went even weirder still, where they're really large and really small are kind of hard to work with. So let's look at the really large ones, that's 43, that's 2 equals, and 4 equals, and 7 equals. Well, now think about that. The decimals right here, I'm going to move it 2 places, that's 200%. The decimals right here, I'm going to move it 2 places, that's 400%. The decimals right there, I'm going to move it 2 places, that's 700%. So you got to be careful with those. People get those wrong all the time because they want to say 70%, then 40%, and 20%. That would be 0.2 and 0.4 and 0.7. All right, the decimals after the number. Look at 44. Really small ones can be tricky also, where it's 0.065 and 0.1325 and 0.0915. And so that's going to be 2 places to the right, 6.5%. That's going to be 2 places to the right, 13.25%. It's going to be 2 places to the right, 9.15%. All right. Lovely. Let's convert. Let's do 47, where we'll convert a fraction into a percent. So we have 34/40ths. And they want that as a percent. So first you convert it to a decimal by taking 34 divided by 40 on your calculator. And then that kicks out 0.85. And then you convert that 0.85 into a percent. So 2 places to the right, 85%. So 34, if you say, wow, 34 out of 40 people love this movie. A lot of times that doesn't resonate with anybody. They don't know what you're talking about. But if you say 85% of the people love that movie, people kind of understand. They get a better concept of how many people like the movie. Like 34 out of 40, I think most of us get an unrealistic picture in our mind that sounds like almost everybody. That's got to be in the 90% or whatever. And if you say 85%, that gives people a better idea. 85, if there were 100, 85 of them would have liked that movie. All right. Let's take a look. Rotten Tomatoes does percents, right? They don't say how many people liked it over the total amount. There's one more. 10/16. So remember, that's not 16/10. That's 10/16. So take 10 divided by 16. That gives you 0.625, 0.625, and then you move it 2 places to the right. That's 62.5%. All right. Lovely. Let's do 4/6. 3 types of percent problems. And hold on, let's see how long this is. Oh, it's 28 minutes already. Okay, we'll do the 4/6 on the next one.